Good morning on this Friday, July 16th, 2021. It is Music Friday on Let It Be Known. Today, we have LeA Robinson, an American singer, songwriter, recording engineer, actress, and humanitarian who was literally born into hip-hop. She's been affectionately known as the Granddaughter of Hip-Hop, and she is the granddaughter of music legend and hip-hop pioneer Sylvia Robinson. And most know Sylvia. She founded Sugar Hill Records. We're going to talk to LeA Robinson this morning. But first, of course, let's talk about the headlines. Representative Joyce Beatty, the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, was arrested on Thursday at the U.S. Capitol while protesting in favor of voting rights legislation. Beatty, the chairwoman, was part of a small group urging the Senate to pass the For the People Act and the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, federal legislation that would curtail restrictions being set on voting and gerrymandering at the state level. Speaking on the Hill before her march into the Hart Senate office building, Representative Beatty compared this moment to the civil rights movement of the mid-20th century. She said, "We might as well have the dogs and the hoses because we don't have the voting rights. And that's why we need to march in these streets. We need to march as those who were followers of Martin Luther King and John Lewis." Representative Beatty, along with Latasha Brown and others, were taken into custody briefly, and we're told that they have now been released. Also in the news, the African American Cultural Heritage Action Fund, a program of the National Trust for Historic Preservation, announced its support for projects totaling $3 million that will help preserve African American landmarks around the country. With $50 million of funding, the Action Fund counts as the largest preservation effort ever undertaken to support the longevity of African American historic sites. The announcement represents the largest single disbursement in the Action Fund's 4-year history. Brent Leggs, the executive director of the Action Fund, said the recipients of this funding exemplify centuries of African American resilience, activism, and achievement. Some of their stories are known and some are yet untold. Together, they help document the true complex history of our nation. So the Action Fund has distributed $3 million to protect African American landmarks. Also, the National Urban League released its 2021 State of Black America report. The New Normal: Diverse, Equitable, and Inclusive is the name of the report. It charts a path forward as the nation emerges from these 3 pandemics, they noted. Mark Morial, who is the president and CEO of the National Urban League, said the United States finds itself at a crossroads of racial reckoning. One path, he said, leads backwards toward the old normal, a return to the marginalization, discrimination, and segregation that left Black and brown Americans exceptionally vulnerable to a deadly virus and economic desperation. The other path, Morial said, leads toward a nation where police approach the communities they serve as allies and collaborators and not hostile combatants, where every citizen has equal access to the ballot box, where fatal complications in pregnancy are just as rare for Black mothers as for white mothers, where the value of a home is not determined by the race of its owner. So the State of Black America report, the 2021 report, is now available. If you go to the National Urban League's website, you can find it there. I want to say good morning to all watching Let It Be Known this morning. Always good to see everyone early morning watching our program. But now we want to say good morning to our special guest. She is the granddaughter of Sylvia Robinson, but more importantly, she's charting her own course. Let us say good morning to LeA Robinson. Good morning, LeA.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us this morning. And I want to jump right in there. Your new work, your new album, new song, Blessed. Let's talk about that. You seem really excited about it. Tell us about it.
I am really excited about it. I love the song so much. I wrote the song, engineered it, mixed it, and mastered it within like 30 minutes myself. So I'm really proud of it. And honestly, it's really like my song to God, just saying thank you and that I'm blessed for everything that you've given me. And I just don't take it for granted ever. So is kind of my song to him saying thank you. And the song is filled with affirmations too. So it's just for anybody that may be going through something, or if you're not going through something and you just want your day to feel better, Blessed is a song to listen to.
And you said you did it all yourself. Was that the first time?
No, actually, all of my songs that are out, majority of them I wrote, but I also engineered all of them. I recorded them, mixed them, mastered them. So everything that you heard was like touched by me in the studio. I did all of that.
Now, as we noted, you are the granddaughter of hip hop royalty, right? So, did that come from your grandmom and the family, that idea to do it all myself?
Absolutely. My grandma, Sylvia, she was not a woman that liked to wait for anybody. And I kind of got that trait as well. I have a studio in my home and I was just sitting there. I was like, why am I waiting for somebody to come here and engineer me when I really need to learn how to do this myself? So my grandma was the same exact way. She was a producer. She was an engineer behind the board. And I'm literally doing the same exact thing. It kind of blows my mind, but it's crazy.
Well, it sounds fantastic. And right now, LeA, we want to bring on the National Newspaper Publishers Association's president and CEO, Dr. Ben Chavis. He's coming in from Detroit, Michigan. Good morning, Dr. Chavis.
Good morning. Good morning, LeA.
Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you for joining the Black Press of America.
Thank you for having me.
And Dr. Chavis, I'm sure you know her grandmother, Sylvia Robinson from Sugar Hill Records.
Very well, very well. She comes from a distinguished, very talented, genius-laden family, and we're glad to see you taking on the tradition.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Now, LeA, you also, her new single is Blessed. And I tell you what, Dr. Chavis, as a Friday treat, before we go on, let us take a listen to LeA Robinson and her new single. Let's show our audience.
Yeah. Ooh, this goes so hard.
Oh, he's such a geek.
That boy Thrill. I wake up, look at myself in the mirror. Ooh, I'm so blessed. This year I just hit 6 figures. I write my own checks. Meditation got me clearer. Shout out to my mama, cause she prayed I'm a receiver. I wake up, look at myself in the mirror. Ooh, I'm so blessed. This year I just hit 6 figures. I write my own checks. Meditation got me clearer. Shout out to my mama, cause she prayed I'm a receiver. I love my body, I am strong. At peace with my past, I got integrity, loving my flaws. I'm perfectly made, yeah, I ain't afraid. Exhaling my fears, value my words, dripping in faith, yeah. I block away negativity, protecting all my energy. Working on the enemy, I pray for all my enemies. You ain't no friend of mine, my spirit got certified.
So LeA, you mentioned engineering everything yourself. Did you do the video? Was that your idea, or was that you as well?
No, so I give all the credit to that to my sister. She's also my creative director as well, Stephanie Roman Salon Studios. And we were sitting in the studio. Actually, the song wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for her. She was like, LeA, I feel like you're going to do the song about God. Nobody's going to know until you actually say it. And it's going to be super successful for you. So during that time of me writing it and recording it, she literally developed the whole concept in her head also. So that was all her completely.
You know, we hear so many people, whether it's social media, whether it's at a mall, in the store, whatever, talk about being blessed. Now here you are singing about it. When you wrote those words, when you came up with the idea, and I hear in the song, you even talk about your mom, you're giving a lot of credit. What was that for you? What was the challenge for you in making sure your message was that of someone who feels that they've been blessed?
There was no challenge to be honest. I just felt like be truthful in your words, stand on the words that you say. And I give so much gratitude to my mother and to the people around me. And I have no pride or ego whatsoever. If there's somebody that has genuinely affected my life or blessed me in some type of way, I'm definitely going to let them know without holding anything back. So there was no challenge. It was literally just God speaking through me. I put it on a record and now it's out to the world.
And LeA, you became a lead cast member in your family's hit reality television show on Bravo, First Family of Hip-Hop. Tell us about that. What was that experience like?
I hated it. Oh God. I just realized that, and this is no shade to anybody, reality television is not for me. I love acting. I love that world, the scripted shows and movies and things. That's more of my thing. As far as reality television, I just don't like anything that pulls on my soul. I'm super spiritual. I like to feel good. And I just also don't like putting my narrative in the hands of other people that don't truly know me or care about me. So it's not for me.
And Dr. Chambers, here's something, another very interesting thing about LeA, and I want LeA to talk about this. I understand one of your first performances was in your grandmother's kitchen alongside none other than Ronald Isley. Tell us about that.
Yes, so Ronald was my neighbor. He literally lived right across the street from us, and him and my grandma were really great friends. So my grandma would always dress me up, and I would do my little performances. I had no idea who Ronald Isley was at the time. I didn't even know my grandma was who she was. I thought that was just my grandma. So those were like my first shows, Ronald coming over and me dancing to Missy Elliott's I Can't Stand the Rain, Trash Bag and all.
Dr. Chambers?
Well, you have a marvelous career, LeA, and that's what we do on the Black Press. We lift up striving for excellence. And on your new song, I'm Blessed, that is so timely, particularly for not only Black Americans, but others, not only in the United States, but throughout the world, who are facing adversities, who are facing this pandemic, who are facing stress. And I have to always remind our people that we are not a cursed people, we are a blessed people. And in life, everyone has to find their blessing. And you certainly have found your blessing, and you're sharing your blessing with millions of people now throughout the world. So thank you for your talent and for your not just striving for excellence, but you are maintaining excellence and sharing it with millions of people.
Thank you so much. I need to record that and listen to that every single day. That just made me feel so good. Thank you.
LeA, less than 5% of the people creating the sounds, music, and media in the daily soundtrack of our lives are women. And you, of course, are included in that small percentile. You co-produced your very first song 5 years ago, and you continue to do so. How important is it to represent women in the light that you are representing women, and also how important it is to take control of your own narrative as you have done?
I think that is everything. Being a woman, like I've never been so proud to be a woman and be doing everything that I'm doing. I'm in love with everything that God has in store for me. And I just think that as a woman, I like to walk into a room and I don't even care to be the prettiest. I care to be one of the most valuable people in the room. Whatever you need, I want to make sure that I can add some value to whatever is going on in the room, whether it be within music, within acting, within anything. I just always want to contribute something outside of just being a pretty face. So to me, just being valuable means so much to me, and being a woman of power and being respected in what I do means and speaks volumes, and I love it.
And earlier, just a moment ago, you mentioned Ronald Isley, and you didn't even know who he was. Can you talk about growing up under the tutelage of Sylvia Robinson and the type of individuals, the talented individuals she would bring home sometimes, or maybe take you to?
It was wild because I still, during the moments, I remember specifically not knowing who any of these people were. There was only one person that I was super in shock to meet. I told my grandma I had a crush on Cisco, and she ended up bringing me to a dinner. And Cisco came up to me. He was like, "Can we take a picture?" I was so young, and I was so shy. And I was like, "No." So it was just countless moments of just being around really, really cool people. And I honestly did not understand who anybody was besides Cisco until I got older.
Drew Hill, Cisco, for those who don't know, Drew Hill, very cool. LeA, So you have a lot to draw from. Is there anyone other than your grandmother who you kind of carve your path after, who you might emulate, if you will?
As of right now, I've been diving so deep into Nina Simone. I know that she like has some wild stories about her, but her truth aspect of music and everything that she put into it, her soul was just like you feel her no matter what she's saying, you feel everything that is within her. So I think for me as an artist and getting back to creating a project or EP, like I want to tap into all of my emotions and feel super okay and vulnerable with expressing them. So definitely Nina Simone. I adore her and love her so much.
Yeah, and again, you mentioned how Sylvia Robinson, your grandmother, you didn't really understand who she was. How important is that too? Because it sounds like she didn't walk around and say, "Hey, I'm Sylvia Robinson." How important was that in your growth that she just showed you the humble side of what folks can be even after achieving such acclaim?
I think that was everything. That was actually one of the biggest lessons that I took from my grandma, and one of the reasons why people speak so highly about me too, which just shows me I'm totally walking in her footsteps, because I don't feel like my grandma ever was that type of person to be like, I'm this person and this is what I do. She knew who she was, so she didn't have to do that. And when you walk inside of a room and you know who you are and you know what God made you to be, you don't have to overly speak about any of those things. So I carry the same type of thing. I know who I am. I know the family that I come from. I know the power that I have. So it has, excuse me, it has allowed me to be super humble and just know who I am as a person and not overly have to do anything that's outside of who I really am to be successful.
Yeah, and a question we love to ask all of our entertainers who come on, Stephanie Mills, Ziggy Marley, doesn't matter. Where were you, and what was your reaction the first time you heard your song on the radio?
I was so excited. I call everybody. It's like, my song's on the radio. And I think for me now, it's not even about me. It's so much bigger than me. It's about my family and my parents and my mom feeling so proud and my dad feeling so proud and me having moments with my parents so where they can look at me as an equal now and not like their little girl. So it's a big moment for me because it's like a respect thing. My parents have seen me just grind and work so hard. So now that they're able to see me on TV acting and doing the things that I said that I wanted to do and the things that I wanted that I prayed for, it's just like amazing to them. So it just means so much, and I truly feel genuinely blessed.
Yeah, and LeA, talk about this too, because I think it's important to relay to the audience. This was not just because you were born into that family. It wasn't just given to you. Talk about the work that you had to put in.
Listen here, the work is still working. Okay. I think a lot of people just automatically thought that I got where I got to because of my dad making phone calls or whatever. But my dad haven't made no more than 3 or 4 calls for me. Okay. But it's okay because I actually like that people respect me because they see how hard I go for myself. And now my dad is like, okay, like you proved yourself to me. I understand it. So for me, it just helped me to go even harder and to be able to use my own name to get into rooms instead of my family's all the time.
Yeah, and the LeA is, notice how the LeA is spelled. Why is it spelled that way?
Okay, so my mom was being creative. My full name is Leonetta, so she took the first 2 letters of my dad's name, which is Leland, so L-E, and then the last letters of her name, which is N-E-T-T-A. Her name is Vernetta. And then the A made it like okay, that's your signature thing. That's your thing. So she combined the 2 names. I don't know how she did that, but she did it. And we're here now.
Here we are, LeA with the capital A in the third as the third letter. Dr. Chambers, I'll throw it to you.
Well, thank you. And again, we want to congratulate LeA on the success of her career. As listening to her, I was just thinking, well, God answers prayer. She had a prayer, and that prayer was answered. But also, we learn in life that we work on having and permitting in our life God to answer our prayers. And your hard work is paying off. You're standing as a great example for others who are trying to get into the entertainment industry, particularly for Black women. And so, again, that record that you just put out, that song that you just put out, I'm Blessed. I'm just going to predict that that's going to the top of the charts.
Amen. I received that.
So LeA, what's next? Obviously, the song is already trending, but what's next for you?
So I'm working on my EP right now. I'm actually going to LA in the next couple of days to go get that started. And definitely you will be seeing me a lot more on your TV screens. I was, by the grace of God, on one of my favorite shows ever this year called Pose, which is on FX. So I was on the series finale, and by the grace of my God, it is an Emmy nominated episode. So shout outs to God. And it's so crazy because two things. Number one, I feel like I manifested being on that show. I prayed so hard. I had a list of 300 things that I wanted God to do for me. And one of the things was, God, please put me on one of my favorite TV shows or a movie or something greater. And literally 2 weeks later, I got invited to audition for Pose. I ended up booking that the very next day. And I looked in my notebook and it literally said, I had wrote it after my first day on set. I was like, God, please allow Pose to be nominated for big awards and I'm a part of it. God allowed my episode to be nominated for an Emmy. And I'm just like, God, you hear me. You hear me. You see me. So definitely expect to see me a lot more on your TV screens. I am tapping into doing a lot more acting for sure, my music, and I'm really just letting God lead me and direct me to wherever he needs me to go.
Well, with that list of 300 things, you putting God to work, aren't you?
Okay. You hear me. God and me talk like this like all day. So I know he probably gets tired of hearing me sometimes, but he listening.
LeA, you also, here's another interesting, so many interesting things about LeA. We can have a whole conversation without talking about Sylvia or her family, but LeA, you partnered with the United Nations and Amnesty International, bringing awareness to human rights issues like female genital mutilation. Talk about that and why that was important.
At the time, I did that when I was a little bit younger, and during that time, it was hard, just because I've always been a person that gave back. I've been affiliated with different charity organizations since I was in second grade, so that wasn't the hard part. The hard part was understanding that these types of issues are really happening in the world, and nobody's really talking about them. So when the UN had approached myself and my best friend about doing a song to bring awareness to these issues, it was just like, oh my God, of course. But it was just difficult because you really get trapped into this world, especially with social media, where you don't see everything that's happening in these other countries and you think that it's bizarre, they're myths, and you don't really know what's happening. So for me as an artist, I feel like it has been my mission and just my duty to really use my voice, either by speaking or by singing, and bringing awareness to all these types of issues that people have no idea is going on. So it was a no-brainer for us to do, and I'm happy that I did it because it allowed to spark a conversation and keep people aware of what is going on in the world.
Yeah, now you're still involved with that cause?
Not that one specifically, but I'm still partnered with Comedy Cures organization. So we give back, and I sing and I volunteer to basically give back to the underserved and underprivileged, and that's something that I will always do for the rest of my life. I don't feel like I'm me unless I'm giving back in some type of way.
That is absolutely awesome. And along those lines, speaking of the United Nations, LeA, you also helped to launch the United Nations International Year of the Youth. Can you talk about that?
It was amazing. That was my first time performing at the United Nations, and it was incredible. I'd never seen so many people. First of all, no shade, but everybody was kind of sort of going to sleep during the whole meeting or whatever. So myself and my best friend got on stage, and I'm a performer. I love to perform. And I went downstairs. I was like singing in front of all of these political, incredible people, and I did not care. I had them all dancing by the time that my performance was done. And that was my mission. I'm like, I'm going to bring life to this. I'm going to be here and y'all going to feel me in the UN. So it worked, and they did.
Awesome. And LeA, you talked about Nina Simone earlier, but is there anyone that you look to and say, I would love to do a duet with?
There's so many people. I love T-Pain so much. Musically, I just think he's a genius. Pharrell, definitely. Snoop Dogg, I met him and he was the most humbled man, celebrity, legend that I think I have ever met in my life. And he gave me even stories about my grandma that I never even knew before. So I definitely would love to do a collaboration with Snoop.
We have a couple of our publishers writing in notes. Cheryl Smith from the Texas Metro News and iMessenger Media. She says, when we talk about young people, what young people are doing, LeA should be at the top of the list. Spiritually grounded, focused, hardworking, talented, committed, and socially conscious. And did I say respectful and giving homage to those who came before her. Great to spotlight. And Claudette Perry, our executive administrator, says, it is absolutely our duty to contribute our time and talents to the global African and human rights causes. And Bobby Henry says, it is so refreshing to see humility, grace, and poise in a young, talent, Black female.
I love this. Keep going. I love it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're gaining, as expected, even more fans. Dr. Chavis, I'll throw it to you for your closing thoughts with LeA Robinson.
Again, we want to thank LeA Robinson for taking time out of her schedule to be with the Black press of America. And LeA, as your career continues to advance, not only in America, but all over the world, always remember the role that the Black press plays in shining positive light on our artists, on our culture, on our legacy, and on our future. So many in the mainstream media, they always look for the negative. But we in the Black press, we lift up the positive. And I just want to say this to you, LeA. You are an epitome of what it means to be a person of African descent, with your creativity, with your genius, and with your impact. And I already know that somewhere down the road, another one of your top songs is going to be, you're probably going to write it, using your own words. It's going to be entitled, Feel Me.
Yes, I received that. Thank you.
Dr. Chavis is writing your next song. I
got to give you some publishing for that next record. I feel you.
And LeA, show everybody your shirt, your sweater.
Oh, so this is from my clothing line. I have a brand called People Blockers. And it's literally about blocking any type of negative energy and embracing who you are and keeping peace around your life 24/7. So this is a new tee that I will be releasing, I think, either today or tomorrow. So peopleblockers.com. I have really great, incredible socks. Everything that I have within my website, I have made it myself. I have prayed over all the items, the socks, the shirts, the oils, everything has been touched and prayed by me. So it's like a hands-on thing that I love to do. So make sure you guys check out peopleblockers.com.
And finally, LeA, is there anyone you want to give a special shout out to at all?
I'd like to give a shout out to all my supporters, all my new supporters, to you both for allowing me to be here. It is super early and I had to wake up a little bit early today, but I appreciate y'all so much for this platform, for this time. I'm happy to be here and just talk to great Black influential people. So I will do that anytime. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, LeA. And don't forget, this weekend and every weekend, for more news about Black America, watch the Chavis Chronicles on PBS TV and PBS World. Of course, the host is right there, Dr. Ben Chavis. And let it be known, never let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. Everybody have a great weekend. Wear a mask, stay safe. If your conscience allows you, get vaccinated. And we will see you on Monday morning.